Slow, strong tone, camera zoomed in and on speaker's eyes. Have you ever felt someone tear your soul and silence it with a smile on their face? There are moments in life when protecting your peace means drawing a line, even if it hurts. If a person does these things, you must hold them accountable. Not to be cruel, but because self-respect is love. Have you ever finally stood up for yourself? Just a little. Just enough to say, no, I can't do that. Or, that doesn't work for me. And instead of being heard, you were met with laughter. It's subtle at first. They might chuckle and say, wow, you're getting so sensitive these days. Or, you used to be fun. What happened? And in that moment, something inside you freezes. You weren't trying to pick a fight. You were trying to grow. You were trying to speak your truth. But instead of honoring that, they treat your boundary like it's a punchline. You see, and the quiet ache, this is one of the most painful forms of dismissal, not because they yelled or lashed out, and the quiet ache, but because they made light of something that took so much courage for you to say out loud. Setting a boundary is not casual work. It's sacred. It's the result of years of self-neglect, years of saying yes when your soul whispered no. When you finally learn to protect your peace, to choose discomfort over resentment, it is holy ground. And yet there are people in our lives, sometimes friends, family, partners, who will belittle those moments of bravery. Not because they're evil, the quiet itchy, but because they're uncomfortable with the new version of you, the version that no longer betrays themselves just to keep the peace. And here's the truth, people who benefit from your silence will always resist your voice. People who love the version of you that overgave, overcommitted, and overfunctioned will often resent the version of you that says, I won't carry what's not mine anymore. The laughter, the sarcasm, and the quiet ache, the guilt tripping, those are all just tools to pull you back into who you were. Not because they don't care, but because they don't yet understand who you are becoming. Quiet H, but listen carefully. When someone crosses your boundary and then laughs about it, they are not joking. They are testing. They are checking to see if your no really means no. If your fence has strength, if you'll fold under pressure, and you might be tempted to let it go, to brush it off, to convince yourself they didn't mean it, because calling them out feels harder than staying quiet. But here's what I've learned the hard way. Every time you let that laughter slide, a little piece of you goes silent. Not to them, but to yourself. And over time, those little silences become self-betrayal. Your nervous system knows the difference between someone who honors your limits and someone who challenges them for sport. And even if your lips smile and say, it's fine, your body will store that boundary violation like trauma, because it is trauma, micro-trauma, quiet trauma, the quiet H, the kind that echoes in your chest when you're alone. So what does punishment look like in a moment like this? It's not vengeance. It's not harshness. It's clarity, distance, a sacred recalibration. It might mean pulling back emotionally. It might mean having the hard conversation and saying, that wasn't okay. It might mean walking away, not of hate, but out of radical love for the person you're becoming. You're not being cold, quiet H. You're not being cruel. You're choosing alignment over approval. Let that be your revolution to stop laughing when your soul is bleeding, to stop shrinking so others don't feel small, to stop apologizing for growing out of old roles that no longer fit the shape of your spirit. Because real love, real connection, it celebrates your boundaries. It says, I see you protecting yourself, and I love you more for it. And if someone can't meet you there, it's not your job to shrink back. It's your call to stand taller. You were not made to be palatable. You were made to be powerful. There's a kind of betrayal that doesn't come with screaming or slamming doors. It comes quietly, wrapped in familiarity, ache, coded in, "I love you," hidden beneath smiles that once felt safe. It happens when someone takes what you gave them in trust and uses it to wound you. You remember the moment you opened up. Maybe you were trembling a little. Maybe it was late at night, and the world was quiet, and your defenses were soft. You shared something real, something you don't talk about often. Maybe it was your childhood, your shame, a fear you still carry in your bones. And in that moment, it felt like connection. It felt like being seen. It felt holy. Because vulnerability is holy. It is the sacred act of saying, "Here, this is the tender part of me. Please be gentle." But later, maybe in the middle of an argument, or when they felt insecure, or just needed to feel powerful, they took that sacred thing you gave them and turned it into a weapon. They used your fears against you, mocked your dreams, threw your trauma in your face like an insult. And they said it with a tone that told you they remember exactly what you told them. They just don't care, ache, and it knocks the air out of you because it wasn't just the words. It was the betrayal of trust. It wasn't just that they hurt you. It's that they knew where it would hurt the most, and still, they chose to go there. You stand there, stunned. Not because you're weak, but because your soul was unguarded. And for a moment, you ask yourself, was I wrong to share? But no, you weren't wrong to open up. You weren't wrong to be real. They were wrong to handle your humanity like ammunition. It's tempting in these moments to shut down, to build walls, to say, and the quiet ache, "That's the last time I let anyone in." But shutting down isn't healing. It's surviving. And you were made for more than survival. The truth is, when someone weaponizes your vulnerability, they are showing you who they are. They are telling you in no uncertain terms, "I am not safe with your soul." And that deserves a consequence. That consequence might be silence. It might be space. It might be the kind of boundary that sounds like, "I still care about you, but I can't let you that close anymore." Not because you're cruel, because you're wise, because you've learned that just as love is an open door, dignity is a locked gate. You are not here to be an emotional punching bag. You are not a story to be used. You are not a secret to be thrown like a dagger when someone feels small. What you are is a miracle of resilience. A person who dares to be soft in a world that keeps hardening. So if someone shows you they can't hold your vulnerability with care, don't offer it again. Withhold, not in bitterness, but in sacred clarity. Because vulnerability is not for everyone. It's for those who've earned it. And the people who deserve your truth are the ones who never use it to hurt you, even when they're hurting. Remember this: forgiveness can be free, but access is earned. You don't have to hate them, but you don't have to hand them the knife again either. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to guard your gold. You are allowed to say, "That part of me is not for sale anymore." And the next time you share your soul, let it be with someone who sees it for what it is. A gift, not a weapon. Because you, in your truth, in your trembling honesty, are not weak. You are divinely strong. And the world needs more of that strength. Not behind armor, but behind boundaries that don't bend for anyone who breaks trust. Have you ever left a conversation feeling like your whole world had shifted? But not in a good way. the quiet ache, like you were standing on solid ground 1 minute, and then suddenly the earth beneath your feet seemed to vanish. And then, instead of being comforted, you were told, "You're overreacting," or "That didn't happen the way you remember it," or worse, "You're just too sensitive." That's gaslighting. And the quiet ache, it's one of the most insidious forms of emotional abuse because it attacks the very foundation of who you are. Your perception of reality, quiet ache. It's like having someone whisper to you in a quiet, relentless way. Your truth is wrong. Your feelings don't matter. You can't trust yourself. Imagine looking in a mirror every day and slowly realizing the reflection is someone else's version of you. Distorted, manipulated, and controlled by another's narrative. You begin to doubt your memories, your intuition, your instincts. You question your sanity. You ask yourself, am I really that confused? Is it me? And the confusion is so deep it feels like a fog settling in your mind. It's exhausting, terrifying, and deeply lonely. This isn't just about forgetting details or disagreements over facts. This is about emotional manipulation that chips away at your confidence, your self-trust, your power, quiet ache. Gaslighting makes you small so that the other person can feel big. It's a way of saying, I will control the story. I will control your feelings. I will control your reality. And it works because it's subtle. It's not loud or obvious. It's a slow, quiet erosion of your truth. But here is the truth you must hold on to with everything inside you. Your reality is real. Your feelings are valid. Your memories are yours, and the quiet ache, and no one has the right to rewrite them. When someone tries to tell you otherwise, that's not love. That's not care. That's control dressed up as concern. And here's the hardest parting often. The people who gaslight us are ones we once trusted the most. They might be family, friends, partners, people who should protect our hearts but instead break them. You might want to make excuses for them to believe that they didn't mean to hurt you and the quiet age, or that you're imagining things, but you deserve better than doubt and confusion. You deserve clarity. You deserve to believe yourself. So what do you do when someone gaslights you? First, take a breath. Ground yourself. Remember who you are beneath the noise and doubt. Second, affirm your truth. Say it out loud, even if it shakes you. I remember. I know what I felt. I trust myself. Third, protect your energy. Distance yourself if you have to. You don't owe anyone your peace. Punishing gaslighting isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your power. It might mean saying, I won't engage in this conversation because it doesn't honor my truth. It might mean walking away, no matter how hard that feels. Ache. It might mean surrounding yourself with people who see you clearly and hold your reality with tenderness. Because healing from gaslighting is a journey back to your own soul. And the quiet ache, it's learning to trust your intuition again. It's rediscovering the strength you always had inside you. Remember, your truth is a light that cannot be dimmed by anyone else's darkness. Stand in that light. Protect it fiercely, resilient H. And never let anyone tell you that your reality is anything less than sacred. Have you ever noticed how some people show up in your life only when they want something? Like clockwork, they appear bright and warm when the lights are on, when you have something to offer, when your energy is full. But the moment you're drained, the quiet ache, the moment your world feels heavy, they vanish, gone, like a ghost, like they were never really there. Quiet H. It's one of the loneliest feelings in the world. Being treated like a resource, not a person. Like a stop on their journey, not a destination in your own right. Ache. Imagine you're a deep, shimmering well of kindness, support, and love. For years, you've poured out water, your time, your attention, your energy to those around you. And some people come with empty buckets, dipping in again and again without ever refilling. They take without asking, without gratitude, without thought. And here's the thing about wells. They don't run dry overnight. But if no one ever comes to refill your spirit, no one ever reminds you matter, no one ever shows up when you are thirsty eventually, the water starts to thin. It becomes harder to pour. The people who only come around when they need something, they see you as endless, as something to be used, not someone to be cherished. They don't see your struggles, quiet H, your pain, your need for care. They only see the gift you bring to their table. And that is deeply unfair. Because real connection, the kind that heals and sustains, requires more than taking. It requires reciprocity. It requires presence. It requires showing up when it's hard, not just when it's convenient. H-E. If someone only shows up in your life when the lights are shining bright, ask yourself, are they here for you or just for what you bring? Are they here to lift you up, ache, or just to fill their own cup? And if the answer feels heavy in your chest, that's your soul telling you something important. You deserve relationships that hold space for your fullness and your emptiness. You deserve people who don't just celebrate your victories, ache, but also sit with you in your silence and your sorrow. You deserve presence, not just presence. Punishing this kind of behavior doesn't mean shutting people out in anger. It means protecting your energy with fierce, loving boundaries. It means saying, and the quiet ache, I will not be your convenience. It means walking away from those who treat your heart like an ATM machine. Because when you allow people to only come around when they want, you teach them that your love is a commodity. But your love, your presence, is a gift. And gifts are sacred. They aren't for everyone. They're for those who cherish them, who handle them with care, who show up even when there's nothing to gain. So when you feel used, remember this, you are not obligated to be available to everyone, quiet H. You are not obligated to fill every bucket that's emptied. You are allowed to guard your well. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to expect more. Because the most profound love you can give is the love you give yourself. Steady, consistent, and true, and the people who deserve your heart will show up in kind. Through every season, every struggle, every moment. Let your love be a lighthouse, not a convenience store. Betrayal is one of the deepest wounds the heart can carry. It cuts through the very fabric of trust we painstakingly weave with another person. And yet, sometimes when the knife is twisted, the person who betrayed you shrugs and says, it was just a mistake. But what does that word really mean when it comes to the heart? A mistake is often framed as something small, an accident, an error in judgment, something unintentional. But betrayal is never small to the one who experiences it. Betrayal is a rupture, a crack that runs deep. It shakes the ground beneath your feet and makes you question everything you believed about love, loyalty, and safety. Imagine building a house with someone, every nail, every floorboard laid with care and hope. And then one day, the foundation shifts, not because of an earthquake, but because someone intentionally loosened the supports. And when you confront them, they say, I didn't mean to break it. It was just a mistake. But the house is still broken. The damage remains. When someone betrays you and calls it a mistake, they're trying to shrink the weight of their actions. They want to make it seem forgivable, easy to forget. But you know better. You know that the impact lingers. You know that forgiveness, if it comes, will take time, grace, and boundaries. Here's the thing about betrayal, it is a choice. Even if the act was impulsive, reckless, or fueled by selfishness, it was still a choice. And that choice reverberates through the trust you placed in that person. So, what do you do when someone tries to minimize that pain? First, you feel it. You don't rush over your feelings like they're inconvenient or embarrassing. Quiet ache. You sit with the the confusion, the anger, the heartbreak, because your feelings are your compass. They tell you where healing needs to happen. Second, you hold the person accountable, not out of spite, but out of respect for yourself. You say, I see what happened. It hurt me, and the quiet ache, and I need to know how you will honor my healing. You don't have to forgive immediately. The quiet ache, you don't have to pretend everything is fine just because they say it was a mistake. True forgiveness is earned through honesty, vulnerability, and change. Third, ache. You protect your heart. Sometimes that means stepping back. Sometimes it means rebuilding your boundaries. Sometimes it means choosing to walk away entirely. Ache, because your heart deserves safety. And safety doesn't come from minimizing pain. It comes from truth, from respect, from actions that match words. Betrayal is a crossroads. It's a moment that asks, will you let this break you? Or will you let it build you? Will you let it define your story, ache? Or will you write a new chapter of courage and resilience? Remember, healing is not linear. Some days you will feel strong. Some days you will feel shattered. And that's okay, quiet H, because every step forward, no matter how small, is a reclaiming of your power. So when someone calls their betrayal mistake, listen carefully, quiet ache, because your response shapes your future. You can choose to shrink and hide, or you can rise and rebuild. And if you choose to rise, let it be with fierce love for yourself. Love that says, I am worthy of truth. Love that says, I am worthy of respect. Love that says, ache. I will never settle for less than my soul's peace. Because at the end of the day, you are not one who betrayed you. You are the one who has the power to heal you. Quiet H. You don't have to become hard to protect your heart, but you do have to be brave enough to guard it. So, if someone crosses these lines, don't just explain it away. Punish with distance. Punish with silence. Punish with healing. And never forget, the highest form of self-love is enforcing your worth.